I don't know how long I have before this gets pulled, or before someone shows up at my door. My name isn't important. But if you're watching this, it means I finally stopped running. I finally said enough. What I'm about to tell you, I know how it sounds. I know. You're going to think I'm insane, but that's what they count on. That's the game. Make the story so insane that no one believes it. Wrap the truth in so much madness that it gets laughed off the internet. But this happened to me. I was taken, drugged, paraded like a toy at a party where the people you worship just stood and watched. People you've danced to, cried to, voted for. LeBron, Jay-Z, Beyoncé. You think I'm making that up? I wish I was. I'll walk you through it, step by step. From the moment I touched the doorknob to waking up naked and bleeding on a cold marble floor. They told me if I talked, I'd disappear, like the others. But silence is killing me faster than they can. So I'm going to tell you everything about the parties, the tunnels, the masks, about them. And maybe, when it's done, you'll finally understand why some people are famous forever and why others vanish without a trace. You ever think about how fast your life can split in half? I do. Every single day. There's my life before the doorknob and everything after. But before all that, I was normal. I swear. I had a job, a kid, a life so boring it could have been a prescription. I worked in insurance claims processing, the kind of thing people pretend to understand when you tell them. I was decent at it. I showed up on time, wore clean shirts, took lunch at 1:15 on the dot. I wasn't trying to be famous. I wasn't chasing anyone. I just wanted to be a good dad. My boy Jonah, he's 10 now. Smart, obsessive about space stuff. I used to sit on the floor and build rockets with him out of Legos, and he'd make me say, "Commander Rook requesting launch clearance," every time. I lived in a quiet apartment complex in West Palm. You know the kind, fake lakes, too many ducks, same 5 cars in the lot every morning. I kept to myself. I had this neighbor, Dennis, always trying to get me to come out to poker night. But I never went. Too tired, I'd say, too much work. Truth is, I didn't need excitement. I didn't want it. I liked my bubble. I liked folding laundry while science fiction played in the background. I liked the way Jonah smelled like shampoo and chocolate milk after school. I know I'm dragging, but you need to understand this part. I was grounded. I was fine. Because when people hear my story, the lawsuit, the names I've said out loud, they think I must have always been broken. Some freak chasing clout. But I wasn't. I was safe. Right up until that Wednesday afternoon, when I came home and put my hand on the doorknob. That's when everything I knew about the world shattered. I remember the light outside was weird, like the sun was dimmed a few notches, and the air smelled off. Not bad, just still, like a vacuum, like the air was holding its breath. I grabbed the doorknob with my left hand, like I always did because I keep groceries in the right, and immediately it felt wrong, slippery, not just oily, greasy, like someone had smeared something on it. I should have pulled back, should have looked around, but I didn't. I was tired. I just thought maybe Jonah spilled something earlier. I turned the knob, opened the door, and then nothing. I mean that, nothing. Not even a second of memory, just static, like my brain got unplugged. I woke up choking on air. You ever been in a dream where you can't breathe, and you think if you just sit up, it'll stop? Except I couldn't sit up. My head slammed into something, plastic, hard, a seat. That's when I realized I was in a car, back seat, nighttime, windows blacked out, no street lights, no traffic sounds, no GPS voice, just the low hum of the road and the feeling that I was being taken somewhere I was never supposed to go. I reached up to touch my head, sticky, something thick in my hair. My fingertips came back dark. Not blood. Not quite. It smelled chemical. And my mouth, it tasted like metal and cotton. Like I'd swallowed something I wasn't supposed to know existed. I started panicking, trying to talk, but my voice came out shredded, like I'd been screaming for hours. That's when the guy in the front seat turned around, no expression. He just looked at me, like he was checking inventory, and he said, "You'll feel normal again in an hour. Don't fight it." Like this was a procedure. Like I was part of some process that had happened before and would happen again. I didn't recognize him. Shaved head, scar across his eyebrow, black gloves. Then I heard the driver's voice, younger, nervous. "He's awake early. Should we dose him again?" Dose me? I tried to sit up again to speak, but my body felt like jello filled with sand. I couldn't lift my arm. I couldn't feel my legs. That's when the name dropped. "Just keep him calm until we reach the island. Diddy doesn't like problems before the party." Diddy. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe I was dreaming. Maybe I hallucinated the whole thing. I wish that were true. But I remember every second of what happened next like it's been burned into my skull. The car pulled off the road. I heard gravel. Then gates, big ones, metal, creaking. We passed under security lights, but I couldn't make out any signs. Just palm trees and water. We were on a causeway. I recognized it later when I went back on Google Maps. Star Island, Miami. I only know that because I looked it up later. But in the moment, it felt like I'd left Earth. The car stopped. The guy with the scar got out and opened my door. "No screaming," he said. "That part's over." He grabbed me under the arms and lifted me like dead weight. I couldn't even fight, just hung there, slumped, watching the lights blur as we moved toward a house so big, it didn't look real. Giant white pillars, garden sculptures shaped like angels, a glowing fountain in the middle of the driveway. He whispered something to someone at the front door, a woman with black hair and a clipboard. She looked me over and nodded. "Bring him through the left side. Keep him out of the main hallway. The others are arriving." That's when I realized there were others. You don't forget something like that. The feeling of being processed, like luggage, like meat. The inside of the house didn't feel like a home. It felt like a set. Marble floors that echoed too loud, walls too white, everything sterile, perfect but hollow, like no one actually lived there. The man with the scar didn't say a word. He just dragged me down a side hallway while the clipboard woman whispered into an earpiece. As we turned the corner, I saw flashes. People in gowns, masks, designer suits. Laughter echoing from behind heavy doors. It didn't feel like a party. It felt like a play, where I didn't know my role yet. We reached a door at the end of a hallway, the kind that blends into the wall, no handle. Scarface pressed his palm to a panel. It beeped, and it opened. Cold air hit me like a wave. And beneath the polished mansion was a tunnel. I don't mean some cozy wine cellar or luxury bunker. I mean a tunnel. Narrow, brick-lined, wet, lit with yellow bulbs that buzzed like flies. The temperature dropped instantly. My breath fogged. I was in shorts and a t-shirt. I started shivering. Scarface shoved me forward. "Move!" I stumbled. My knees were barely working. My hands dragged along the rough wall to keep balance. That's when I heard it. Voices, whispering, soft at first. Not in English, maybe not in any language I knew, and music. Low, slow, like chanting played through a broken speaker. As we moved deeper, the whispers grew clearer. I started picking out words. Selection, reward, snitch, witness, punishment. There were doors down there, metal ones like hospital rooms. Some cracked open. I couldn't help it. I looked. One room had red velvet walls and a glass mirror that stretched from floor to ceiling. Another had shackles, actual ones, bolted to the floor. The third door was shut tight, but I heard crying, muffled. Software, Scarface grabbed me by the collar and pulled me away. Eyes forward, I asked, barely a whisper. "Where are we going?" He didn't answer. He just said, "You'll know when the mask goes on." And then we reached another door, heavier than the rest, ornate, almost ceremonial. He opened it, and inside was a room glowing with golden light. Dozens of people, some in masks, some without. Some I recognized, not from real life, from magazines, music videos, award shows. They turned to look at me, and none of them looked surprised. I used to think the worst thing that could happen to you was being alone. That night I learned the truth. The worst thing is being surrounded by people who see you and choose to do nothing. The room was warm, too warm. Like the heat came from inside the walls. It was circular, no windows. Pillars wrapped in white fabric. Soft yellow lighting that flickered, like candlelight, but artificial. At the center was a platform, and in the middle of it was a chair, just a chair, wooden, no arms, nothing fancy. But when I saw it, my body knew what it meant before my mind did. I started shaking. Scarface pushed me forward. "Don't make this worse," he said. There were at least 30 people in that room, maybe more. Some wore masks, Venetian animal, black lace. Others didn't bother. I recognized at least 4 of them. Not just they looked familiar, I knew who they were. I'd heard their voices on Spotify, seen their faces on billboards, but I'm not saying names, not yet. Not because I'm scared, because some of you won't believe me anyway. And they know that. A woman stepped forward. Short hair, red heels, long gloves that went past her elbows. She held something in her hands, a mask, black, plain, smooth. She placed it gently on my face. It had no straps, but I couldn't take it off. It clung to me like it wanted to be there. And the second it was on, everything changed. The crowd laughed, not loud, just amused, like a game was starting. Then music, slow, low, rhythmic, the kind that makes your stomach twist before your brain even knows why. And someone whispered, "Let's begin." They stripped me there, in front of everyone. I tried to fight. My body didn't respond. My arms moved like they were underwater. I wasn't tied down. I was numb. They paraded me around. I remember hands on my back, my chest, my face. I remember laughter. I remember someone whispering, "Snitches don't get stitches, they get sequels." And I remember one man, tall, wearing a gold chain with a pendant I recognized from TV. He looked right at me and said nothing. Just sipped his drink. Watched, like I was a scene in a movie he'd already seen before. I lost time after that. Minutes, maybe hours. When I came back, I was on the cold floor, alone, and my clothes were gone. I don't remember how I got there. One moment I was curled up on the cold floor where Adria left me. The next I was upright, dressed in white, standing barefoot on tile. A different room this time, cleaner, sterile even. Bright lights above me, humming like hospital fluorescents, but no warmth. The air felt scrubbed, like whatever happened in here, they didn't want it to leave a trace. The men came in first, 2 of them, silent, matching black suits, earpieces. They didn't speak to me, just walked slowly around the room like they were inspecting a product. One of them touched the back of my neck with something cold, a device maybe, then nodded. The lights flickered once, then went off, replaced by candles, dozens of them, like someone had lit an altar. The air changed, thicker, like I was breathing through velvet. Then the door opened, and they walked in. I recognized them immediately. He wore all black, sunglasses, calm, unmoving. She was behind him, silent, radiant, wrapped in dark fabric like a statue brought to life. You already know who I'm talking about. I don't need to say it. He walked right up to me. No guards, no mask, no hesitation. And he said, "Don't speak, just watch." His voice was quiet, cold, like this wasn't the first time he'd said those words. He turned to her and nodded, and that's when she began. The music didn't come from speakers. It started in the walls, in the floor, deep notes, low vibrations, not a melody, a pattern, like something from underground, ancient. She moved like she wasn't touching the ground, not dancing, not performing, something between a prayer and a punishment. Her eyes never blinked, her face never changed. And he watched her the entire time, but his hands were on me, not hurting, just holding, a reminder that I was there to see, not to speak, not to interrupt. When it was done, she stood still, perfect posture, breathing calm, and he turned to me. "You see now," he said. I didn't respond. I couldn't. My heart was pounding. My knees nearly gave out. He leaned in, whispered one sentence that I still hear in my sleep. "To love something truly divine, then you have to watch it break." Then he stepped back, she walked out, and the candles blew out all at once. I woke up in my bed. That's the part that still messes with me. Not in a cell, not in a ditch. My bed, sheets tucked, phone on the charger. My alarm blinking like I'd just overslept, like nothing happened, like I dreamed it all. But I didn't. My body knew better. My neck ached like someone had gripped it too tight. My wrists had faint bruises, symmetrical. My eyes were bloodshot like I'd been crying for hours. And my clothes were folded at the edge of the bed, the same ones I'd worn that day. Clean, pressed, almost respectful. They put me back, like a book on a shelf. I stumbled to the bathroom, turned on the light. My face looked wrong. Not beaten, not bloody, just hollow, like someone had pulled me out of myself and stuffed me back in wrong. I sat on the floor for hours. I didn't move, I didn't blink. My phone buzzed 3 times, missed calls from my job, a voicemail from Jonah's school, and I just sat there until the memory came back, not all at once, just 1 second, one image, Diddy, standing near the edge of the candlelit room, arms crossed, watching and smiling, not a cruel smile, not a cartoon villain grin. Worse, it was soft, satisfied, like he was proud, like this was his, the music, the ritual, the humiliation, and me. I was part of it, a piece, a product. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. He just looked at me like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And that's what destroyed me. Not the violence, not the drugs, not the masks. That look, that calm, content look of a man watching his empire run exactly the way he built it. He enjoyed it, every minute. And I was the punchline. I wanted to scream, smash something, burn the place down, but I couldn't even speak, because deep down, I knew something worse. No one was coming. No one would come. I could walk into a police station right then and there, say every name, describe every room, every sound, every face, and they'd laugh, or they'd disappear me for real. So I went back to work. I smiled when people said, "You look tired." I made Jonah's lunch. I told myself, maybe it was a dream, until the letters started coming. No return address, no writing inside, just photos. Me, in the tunnel, masked, surrounded and smiling. You'd think after everything, they'd just let me disappear, let me rot in silence. But that's not how this works. People like them, they don't erase you once. They erase you slowly, one piece at a time. First came the photos, then the USB drive. Left in my mailbox, no note, just footage. Me, in the tunnel, me, in the chair, me, watching her. A security camera angle I never saw, time-stamped, crystal clear, no sound, just image after image of my humiliation, archived like evidence or trophies. I smashed the drive, but they knew I would. 2 days later, another one appeared. in my son's backpack. That was the day something in me snapped. I stopped hiding. I stopped pretending. And I started documenting everything. That's why I'm talking to you now. Because if I disappear for real, someone needs to know what I left behind. You might think I'm paranoid. But when a woman at the grocery store brushes your shoulder and whispers, "You should have stayed quiet." When your therapist tells you your sessions were lost and then quits without notice. When you catch a man in a parked car filming your front door for 42 minutes and the cops say it's not illegal unless he steps on your lawn. That's not paranoia. That's a warning. The last one came yesterday. A voicemail. No caller ID. A child's voice. Software. Tell daddy I miss him, and I hope he's not still being bad. I don't know how they got Jonah's voice. Maybe they recorded him at school. Maybe it was him. Doesn't matter. What matters is they're still playing. And I'm done being a piece on the board. I filed the lawsuit last week. 15 causes of action. Trafficking, kidnapping, psychological warfare against Diddy, Adria, Mahus, Paul. The Estefans are listed for access and location. And the rest, the watchers, the witnesses, they're not named as defendants, but they're there. Their names are on the record. For now. My lawyer says it's career suicide. He also says it might be actual suicide. But I've made peace with that, because when I close my eyes, I see the tunnel. I see the mask. I see him, smiling in the shadows. And I know the only thing they fear more than exposure is someone who refuses to vanish. So if you're watching this, save it, download it, re-upload it somewhere they can't reach. Because I don't need you to believe me. I just need you to remember me. And if I'm gone tomorrow, ask yourself, who profits from silence?